What is going on, everybody? It is Gothspelll, your friendly neighborhood shadow priest, and today we're going over talent stats, all that fun stuff you need to know to be able to run shadow priest in the world within. Currently, there are two um, hero talents that we have: Void Weaver and Archon. Archon, to me, is pulling ahead of Void Weaver. Although Void Weaver is it is much more beautifully animated than Archon. It's just like you can look pretty in Void Weaver, but you're not going to be doing as much damage. Which they might try and balance. I believe we're getting a 20% buff to Void Blast with that, but we'll see what Blizzard does with it. I'm loving a lot of the changes that have come with Shadow Priest, but we'll kind of see what's going to happen from there. All right, so let's get into it. Stats, haste mastery, still our stats that we need. As you can kind of see, I got the best gear that I could, trying to get my stats to where they need to be. I believe Icy Veins or Wildhead said your haste should be about a max of 20%. So I could go down on haste because as you can see, like my stats right here, haste, crit, mastery, versatility. My haste is at 20.21%. My crit it's a little lower than that. I have a flask on right now. Um, but my mastery is at 10%, 10.47. So as you can see all that. So far as weapons, I believe this is our best in slot weapon for us to have as Shadow Priest. You get it from the Rookery. I believe that's the name of the dungeon. Yeah, the haste buff that it gives you, 1690 haste, and it procs pretty often. It procs pretty good, and you get the little cool emote that comes out. A little storm griffin comes down, and that you just got your haste buff. So far as trinkets, I have the Alchemist Stone, versatility. Versatility, we'll see. Like last expansion, versatility was like a sleeper stat for us. We It wasn't really pushed out there that we needed versatility, and but some of the best shadow priests that I've seen running, we're running about 15 to 20% burst, and yeah, so we'll see. I'm gonna try and keep that versatility and see how my shadow priest likes it, and we'll go from there. Next trinket, BIS must have. This drops from what's the name of that dungeon? There's two of them. It's a spider dungeon. With the webs for the first boss. It drops from the first boss. This trinket is a must-have. Like you need it. Like we can't get in rate yet, anything like that. So this trinket is a must-have. You have to have it. Let's see. All right. So we did gear. We did stats. All right. Let's hit talents. All right, so talents for Archon. Like I say, you can go Void Lever, but this is the build that I use for Archon. You can just copy that or look me up on Raider.io and go from there. All of these are must-have talents for me. I really can't change much of them. You need Mass Dispel. You kind of need Holy Nova just because you have an extra point. So might as well just throw it in there. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Angelic Bulwark. As much as I love running with people, I run a lot of pugs for either Mythic Plus, or Raid. And as much as I love healers and I want to trust them, I just don't. So I play a style that focuses on keeping myself alive and then going from there. So you need Halo. All these are pretty much mandatory. You need Phantom Reach, increase the range of most spells by 15%. Uh, yeah, like you just need all of these. So all of these are mandatory till you get about down here to where some people change, but this is the best build that I've seen run for me and my playstyle. Dispersion. If you're super new to Shadow Priest, I'll go down the tree with you real quick. Devouring Plague is our main spender. You'll see how much damage this does. So it is like your Pyroblast if you played a mage, or um, it's your main spender. Let's just leave it at that. Dispersion, your oh crap button. If you need to get away, you need to get out of a stun, you're stuck somewhere you shouldn't be, and you know you're going to take a lot of damage, you can pop this and, get that damage reduced. All right, let's see. Shadowy apparitions, your cool little shadow beings that come from the shadow realm. This is the talent that gives you the ability to do that. And then your silence, dispersion. Some people run mental fortitude. Um, the healing from vampire touch and devouring plague. When a maximum health shields you for the same amount, it can't exceed 10% of your maximum health. Some people run that because they trust their healers, and I know they're gonna have the heals. But me, like I said, I love my healers. Do I trust all of them? Heck no. So I use dispersion that heals me for additional 25% of my health over its duration, and its cooldown is reduced by 30%. I'll take that one. All right. Misery. Let's apply shadow work pain to the target. Shadow work death lasts an additional 5 seconds. Mandatory. Thought Harvester, mandatory. Psychic Link, this is where a lot of our damage comes from. This is also mandatory. Surge of Insanity, Mind Flay Insanity, or Mind Spike Insanity. We're going to be focusing on Mind Flay Insanity. It just does so much damage now. Like before last expansion, you really weren't running. Like I didn't have the urgency to hit Mind Flay, even if I had the Insanity proc. That has changed so much, so much. Um, Shadow Crash. So I changed Shadow Crash. You still have the option to do the cast of Shadow Crash, and where you can like get the little marker and then like, oh, I want it here, or you can have it go to the target. So a positive and negative. Positive is you don't have to worry about if you're on stairs or at a bad angle or your camera angle changes. You don't have to worry about missing your Shadow Crash. Well, that's the good thing. So the bad thing is that if your target dies when you throw Shadow Crash like that on a target, and it dies when it's in midair, it just doesn't hit for anything. Like it misses everything. Like so, you have to manually dot everything. So I'll tell you, like as we go through rotation, make sure that you Shadow Crash the target with the most health. All right, Void Eruption. I haven't seen anybody really running Dark Ascension. I know some people do, but I believe in Void Weaver. You can run Dark Ascension, but it's just not worth it. I don't think it is, so we're not gonna really go over that. Void Eruption, same as last time, same as last expansion. Looking to get your big burst in, starting the boss fight, all of that. Void Eruption is gonna go. It's just going to do so much damage. Mental Decay increases the damage of your Mind Flay and Mind Spike by 10%. And it refreshes your Vampiric Touch and Shadow War Pain. Like it busts them up by a second. So if they're getting ready, if it hits, you see it's about to hit zero, you use your Mind Flay Insanity. Um, it just extends the duration of your dots. Shadowy Insight, Shadow War Pain's periodic damage. It has a chance to reset Mind Blast. Super important. Must have talent. Ancient Madness. Must have. Void Touched. Must have. Increase your Divine Plague damage by 6%. Increases your maximum insanity by 50. Alright, so Dark Evangelism. I really like this spell, and I was caught between Dark Evangelism and Screams of the Void, so I just kind of put that talent instead of going for one. I just went with both of them. Mind Devour. Mind Blast has a 10% chance to make your next Devouring Plague cost no insanity and deal 20% additional damage. Must have. Some people don't run this, and I don't know why. It's it's free if you get a Shadowy Insight proc for your Mind Blast, and you have to move, which Shadow Priest, we have a mobility issue. Like, it's a free Devouring Plague and free Mind Blast that you can cast while moving. And giving a Shadow Priest movement is insane because yeah, if I could cast Mind Flay while moving, like I would have no problems whatsoever. All right, so that why is this so important? Why is Mind Devourer so important? Because you get the next option of Mind's Eye or Distorted Reality. So you can have this is a quality over quantity issue right here that you have to make. So I go with Distorted Reality because I believe in quality over quantity. So Mind's Eye is like the quantity, just dotting as many people with Devouring Plague as you can. And if you do run that with Mind Devour, you'll get a lot more Devouring Plagues out, but they won't be hitting as hard. Um, Whereas with Distorted Reality, you find your target with the most health. It takes away from you having to keep finding targets to dot. If you like doing that, that's your playstyle. Cool. Um, but I can't. I just have to find the highest target after everything's dotted up with Shadow Crash. Highest health target, hit them with the Devouring Plague. And if I get another proc, I'll find the next target, or I'll just refresh the Devouring Plague on the highest health target or the boss and just go from there. And just mind flay. Let's see. Death Speaker is back. We have Death Speaker. This helps with our damage while moving. And yeah, you get a free proc of Shadow Word Death. Let's see. Yeah, Auspicious Spirits. Same thing as up here, but like I said, you get 15% increased damage and have a chance to generate one insanity. Void Torrent. I see some people not taking Void Torrent. I guess they're trying to go for Mindbender or kind of down this route over here. The Idol Yalk Saran. Um, I I don't like. I like it, but I don't like it. I don't like this. Oh God, talent. Void Torrent. Super. It's like a juiced up Mind Flay. Yeah, it just does insane. Super straightforward. But here's where it gets interesting, right? So you go to Insidious Ire. While you have Shadow Warp Pain, Devouring Plague, and Vampire Touch active on the same target, your Mind Blast and Void Torrent do 40% more damage. So if you're, like I've seen it where I've almost hit 2 million, I'll get Shadowy Insight proc, hit that, boom, cast Mind Blast, I get a Mind Devour proc. Oh, great. You know, have Devouring Plague, hit my Void Torrent, so I get not only that, so I just hit him with a super beefed up Devouring Plague. Now I have Insidious Ire, so when I hit Void Torrent, you know, I'm almost hitting for 1 million damage right there. Like, that's very quick. That's a lot of damage. And it doesn't seem like it because you're just going to be hitting 2 or 3 buttons and be like, oh, I don't feel like it. And then you look at the damage meter and you're like, oh, holy crap. So then I look at them, it just makes sense because once you're channeling, and say you have to get your cast interrupted for movement, things like that, you still have these little tendrils that are going to spawn and mind flay your target. And all the damage from that mind flay is increased. So, Mastermind, like I said, Screams of the Void, you just Devouring Plague causes your Shadow Warp Pain and Vampiric Touch to deal faster damage. I'm not sure if this happens like vice versa, because like if you hit one and then you hit another one and then you hit another one, so you just get super lucky with procs. Like I all I know is if I get super lucky with procs like that and I start spreading my Devouring Plague, I just know everything melts like instantly. It instantly melts, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even get through half my rotation, and everything's dead. Great. So yeah, Mastermind, and then the Idol of Nazoth. It's good. Even single target with ads like bosses that have ads, like it's great. It's still you still have your single target damage in there, but does help with your AOE damage to kind of help until your Shadow Crash comes back up, or kind of mitigate if you miss your Shadow Crash. So those are the talents that I run. I absolutely love them. You start off a little slow, but once you start pumping, like it's a wrap. It's a wrap, dog. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna post a few other videos of me going through heroics, and when Mythic Plus season starts or season 1 starts, we'll go through that. I'll show you some videos, kind of like how I prioritize things like that. So we'll go through rotation real quick. So a lot of problem that Shadow Priest are having is tanks are just pulling. So say if you have a mob here, you have a mob over here, and then you have a mob right here. The tank will pull, get aggro on everything. So say if you Shadow Crash right here, and you don't know your tank is going to go here, so you're going to Shadow Crash, and then your tank has aggro on everything. You're going to start your rotation, and then he's going to run over here, and now you're like, well, I know I have to hit these guys. So you're going to spend your time trying to dot, And these guys are almost dead now. And then he's going to run over here once he has aggro and everything else. Your tank's going to run over here. So now you're kind of stuck between, am I going to single dot everything until, or am I going to wait till Shadow Crash comes up? But here's the thing: if you're running with good players, mostly everything's going to be dead already. So by the time he's like starting to get here, everything here, this group's probably going to have like 25%. This group's going to be at like 75, 65, and then this is a fresh group. So you can still Shadow Crash here or kind of like somewhere over here if you have it to where you can pick the location. So you can Shadow Crash over here, this group right here, and then pop your cooldowns, go from there. So I would not recommend popping your cooldowns on the first pull that the tank does because all of them are just like zoom, zoom, zoom. They're just flying through the dungeons until we get to Mythic where they're a little more reserved. But even then, like you have to kind of know what your tank is going to do or kind of feel it out to see how your tank is going to pull. Because if you're trying to Shadow Crash and then he pulls this and then he pulls that, and it hurts your DPS a lot. You make it up on boss fights, but it hurts it a lot. So you kind of just have to. What I do is, so say if he does the tank has 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. I'll single dot 1, 2, 3. Okay, yep, he's going that way. Single dot. Yep, he's going this way too. And then Shadow Crash over here. If I see the tank start running this way, I'm going to Shadow Crash here. Start my rotation, start my burst right here on these targets right here. Because you can single dot these because you know the tank is going to start moving. So single dot, single dot, single cast, single cast. Okay, you're here, single cast, single cast. Oh, I know you're going over there. Shadow Crash. And just start your rotation. So what rotation are you starting? You are going to have your Shadow Crash. Everything's dotted up. So you can either pop your flask and then PI, Void Eruption. You got that. Hit your Void Bolt afterwards. Halo. Halo, and then Mind Blast, Mind Blast, Devouring Plague on your highest health target. Get your Devouring Plague out as fast as possible. That's the thing. So it really depends on what talent you're running. Your Devouring Plague, get it out as quick as possible. That's what is going to be your heavy hitter. And then whichever target you have that Devouring Plague on, uh, Mind Flay Sanity. So you'll get with Halo going, you'll have like 3 or 4 procs of Mind Flay Sanity. Once you just hit it back to back to back, you will watch your DPS just soar. You'll go that little lag time that you had between these two mobs, where you have warriors or pallies that are very front loaded on damage, and then they kind of mellow out. Like you're gonna catch them with those 3 mind flay insanity procs. You will catch them, and void torrent. Like it's crazy the amount of DPS that you do. All right, so I'm gonna queue for a few dungeons, and you can kind of see how I run Shadow Priest. I run my Shadow Priest off of this build, and go from there. And oh, for food, we didn't cover food. So Belladar's Bounty, your highest secondary stat, 469, and then for the Flask of Chemical Chaos, and then the Tempered Potion. Those are the consumables that you need. All right, so we'll get into some heroics, and yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, or you have want to know like, hey, like, what do you think about Void Weaver? I can go over Void Weaver and make a separate video, but right now, just really not feeling it from the standpoint of like damage numbers. It just doesn't feel worth it. The amount of work you have to do to get good procs and the damage and stuff like that. Visually, it's amazing. DPS wise, not so much. The playstyle is just not there for me. All right, and yeah, so I'll hop in some heroics and we'll get to it. Thanks for watching.